Hey everyone, Kyle here, your co-host of the Discussion Alliance. Just wanted to give you a friendly heads up before today's episode 4 gets underway. Just wanted to apologize for this episode coming out way later than it should have. This mainly has to do with the fact that today's episode is going to be a part 1 of a 2-part episode. We realized that our 4th episode was way too long for a normal episode length of what we try to keep around 50 to 60 minutes. Therefore, we decided to split it in almost half, as well as the fact that I personally was in charge of editing this week's episode and decided to include screenshots and photos this time of everything that we discuss. And this process of collecting and screenshotting images from movies and TV shows has taken way longer than expected. So anyways, just wanted to give you guys a heads up on both of those things. So number 1, be on the lookout for those photos if you're watching this on YouTube. And number 2, if it sort of just abruptly ends, just know that part 2 is on the way, and you guys will see that soon. Hope you guys enjoy, and here comes episode 4.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Dude, seriously, that's the wrong line, and this is the intro, remember?
Oh, right. Welcome to the Discussion Alliance.
We cover the latest topics and news from all corners of the Star Wars universe. So grab your blue milk and keep your seals tight, because we've got a lot in store for you today. How's it going, everyone? My name is Aiden, and welcome back to the Discussion Alliance. As I just said, my name is Aiden.
My name is Kyle.
And welcome to the 4th episode. Oh my gosh. It's good. It's good to be back.
We're making good progress here.
Yeah, we're planning out our stuff, our episodes a little better this time. And, well, I think at this point we should start off with the news.
So, we are pretty excited about this. Star Wars Outlaws was just announced, as some of you may have noticed recently. And there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming with it.
Yep, it's said to be the first actual open-world Star Wars game, and that's pretty exciting. And
yeah, something I noticed from some of the trailers and stuff is, it's a little mixed bag on like whether or not it's actually gonna be open world. I mean, they definitely advertise it from like they're saying like, hey, you can explore this world, you can see these places, but from like the gameplay trailer, for example, there are some linear parts like to the overall story, especially since I think the gameplay trailer that they released was showcasing, I believe, the intro probably. And so there are some bits that are very story driven and linear where it's just more of explaining what's happening.
Right. Yeah, and we've also had to look at the gameplay trailer for this one. We saw, like, some of the, like, cool assassination animations. Well, Kyle did. I didn't. I was looking more at, like, the, like, just action gameplay kind of stuff, like firing back at enemies and all that. And then there was also some of the fun voice lines, like, as we've seen, like, Dank Farrik, which is just another way of saying,
just pretty much like
some
darn
other,
it or something like that.
Or like, gosh darn it, or like, son of a gun.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. As well as, like, there was also what we saw, like, a switch between different weapon modes. So there's, like, there's stun, you know, so you just stun your enemies and not actually kill them. There's focused, which is, let's see,
we were looking at it.
Sniper type.
Yeah, we were considering it more of like a precision mode, like, with the weapon that you have.
Yeah, that's what you suggested it might be. And then there's just regular blaster mode, which is just blasting away at your enemies.
Yep.
And let's see. Oh yeah, something interesting that we did hear about in one of the articles that Kyle found is that there's the potential that it might have its own VATS-inspired combat system. Now, for those of you who don't know, that VATS is short for the Vault-Tec Assisted Targeting System from the Fallout franchise, and pretty much what that does is, like, it time freezes, and there's a certain percentage on hitting a certain part of an enemy's body. So, like, say there's a 16% chance to hit the enemy's arm, or there's a 50% chance to hit the leg of an enemy. And so, again, it just depends.
Well, yeah, so the main difference we were seeing, though, with Outlaws is instead of doing a body part, it seems they're going to do, like, this whole sort of freeze frame, except it's going to be more of, like, a slow motion, and it's just going to give you time to get more of a better chance of targeting a specific area. The guy, I don't know if I described that one, but pretty much slow motion targeting.
Right.
Instead of, like, specifically choosing a body part, just pretty much being able to slow down time and take a better, accurate shot at your enemy.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's cool to see those new mechanics, at least to the Star Wars games.
Yeah. And then they've seen, like, how, like, driving speeders in, like, escaping from enemies, and even starships of traveling to different worlds, right?
Yep. Something that it was really small that I saw, but I read was just the fact that you got to see the whole liftoff scene. I mean, although it's not that important when you think about it, but just I was looking at some comments on posts and stuff, and just the amount of appreciation just to show, like, all the parts. Usually, like, this shows the beginning of a liftoff or you getting in the ship, and then it's a loading screen or it cuts to the next thing. But here you get this whole fluid animation showing from liftoff all the way into space, and it's just cool little bits like that they're willing to put the time and energy to show off all these different aspects of the game and story.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. Almost reminds me of, like, I don't know if this is a good comparison, but, like, with Destiny 2 or something like that. I only played a little bit, but it felt like something similar, just lifting off from where I was, and then just when you just go to the mission select scene, you're out in space at a specific planet and all that. But, yeah, that's about as much comparison as I can do.
Yeah,
with that.
I mean, again, there's only so much we were able to pull from the trailers and announcements. I mean, like, this was just an announcement. This wasn't like a full release. There isn't anything to really review, and there's like we said, with, like, the different weapon switching modes, the cool assassination animations, and I mean there's definitely some new stuff. It's going to be interesting to see how this all compares to, for example, the most recent Jedi Survivor game that came out. And also previous titles such as Jedi Fallen Order, Battlefront 1 and 2. And this is, it looks to be much more of a focus. They claim to be an open world game, but also looking through the perspective of a non-Jedi character. Sort of a powerful character, you could say. Someone who doesn't have the Force, isn't super high up in the ranks, just you could say a normal character in the Star Wars universe, just trying to survive, but ends up exploring everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how much it hits home with fans.
Yeah, let's hope it does good.
Yeah.
That's the one hope. Just making sure that everything about it does well.
Yeah. Something that we noticed that is definitely drawing praise from the Star Wars community is ND5, the commando droid. A lot of he was definitely receiving attention, just mainly because he looks cool. He has his jacket on. He was looking very, I don't know if like sort of, I don't know how to describe his fit, but it was pretty much you see like the blaster rip in his front torso. He has this jacket up sleeves rolled up to where his elbow would be, and I think this is just this gives him a very sort of subtle but intimidating look, and it's fun to see, in my opinion, this type of character being utilized. I mean, we think about different types of droids, different species that are not seen as much through Star Wars media. I think this is a cool chance to see commando droids, because commando droids were originally, I'm not sure if they were previously seen in comic stuff. I'm not that well knowledgeable in that, but they were, from what I understand, first introduced in the first season of the Clone Wars TV show.
Yeah, that's right.
I believe it was Rookies, so the whole Rishi Moon outpost stuff. And so since then, we've seen them throughout Clone Wars, but then other than that being like the main piece of like visual media, we have only really seen them as, for example, as like operators in Battlefront 2, and actually more recently enemies in Jedi Survivor, and they're sort of stand-ins for what would be Imperial sort of Palpatine guards, pretty much with electrostaffs in a sense. But other than like small bits, and then seeing them as bad tactical but like really skillful droids in the Clone Wars, we haven't seen them that much as like actual characters. Part of it's because they're droids. So this will be definitely really cool to see ND5 being a lead character. Now again, because it's open world, I'm afraid this will be used as like just a way to hype up players, because when you think about it, open world will have its moments of story, but it's much more about exploration and learning, versus when you have a linear sort of story to follow. Right. That's when, although you're subject to the will of the creators and their story, your chances of getting a full-blown story and learning more about a character are much higher. Whereas this is going to be more snippets and bits that may not put together a fulfilling story for ND5, for example.
Right.
So I'm praying, I have my fingers crossed right now, that he will be a cool character, but I'm hoping that he isn't just a piece right now that's being used to get fans excited.
Yeah, that's the thing sometimes when companies like say it's going to be this thing, but then at release it's something completely different from what they originally said it was going to be. Yeah, I really hope that Star Wars Outlaws is actually just a open world game, and they're not just feeding us lies.
Yeah, I mean, something that will be interesting. We had some questions prepared. Was this was inspired by, again, more posts that we've read and we've seen, but questions that we had that we want to share with you guys is what factions will be involved, and by that meaning, since it's an open world game, how much freedom will you have as a player? Like, can you join different factions? Can you join the Rebel Alliance? Can you join the Empire? Could you join a trade guild? Could you join a crime syndicate? It'll be interesting to see how much.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, all of that takes a ton of time, energy, and development on the side of, it's Ubisoft doing this title, correct?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And also probably smaller game developers that they hire out and stuff like that. But just putting in that level of detail clearly takes a ton of time and energy. But it'll be interesting to see, will they include that? Or will it be more of these standalone missions? For example, I'm comparing it to games that I think of, such as Halo Infinite, had a very open world concept.
Oh yeah, the campaign did.
And I thought it was okay. It felt very disconnected, at least, especially since Halo has always been a very linear path. They've always had very linear storylines.
Mm-hmm.
Same can be said. I don't know if you've necessarily played this title, but for example, this Call of Duty has always been very linear with their stories. But a couple times that they did open world, I think of one which wasn't the most popular, but Infinite Warfare, which was sci-fi space, very futuristic. Their version, like the first couple missions were linear, sort of like what it looks like this game will be, but then it was completely open world. You could choose missions based on, for example, they give like a percentage of your success chance, which I think probably had to do with like your rank as you progress through the campaign. But you got to choose different sectors you could go to within the galaxy and choose your missions. And so, yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what direction this open world look will go to for Star Wars Outlaws and how connected it will feel. Because obviously what you lose with open world is, I mean, you gain exploration, you gain choice, but you lose quite a bit of the storytelling. Because it's hard to connect a story together very well when the player, your customer, is mixing everything up in the order that they just feel like choosing the missions and how they want to do them.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, yeah. I know I'm sort of going off on a tangent, but
it's okay.
The last question.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here, to go into depth. The last question that you and I had written down was Era of the Empire ? Pretty much being, I'm curious to know what point in the Empire this will take place. I don't think that's necessarily the most important part, but what I said with factions about joining the Empire, joining the Rebel Alliance, for all I know, at this point in the Empire, the Rebel Alliance may not be around. This may be something like during Andor, where there's like some little bits and pieces of scattered Rebel elements. It may be before that, where there's like none. Or it could be later throughout the Empire, where it's like there's definitely Rebel Alliance. Or what we've seen with the Empire, this could be something during the Mandalorian, for all we know. This is like New Republic. And I honestly forgot if they've stated already that there's a specific era that this is taking place. But I feel like that will determine the amount of draw towards this game. On the top of my head, I can't really say this particular part of that era would draw more players in than the other. But I do feel like something with Empire and Rebel Alliance would... I think that would be the most exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does sound very, very interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, let's see. I'm trying to remember the last thing. Do you want to... Do you have it in front of you? Can you maybe read that off? Or...
Yeah, I can. Ugh, sorry, I was just yawning.
Yeah, you're fine.
But, yeah. So, the last thing is, like, that the game is going to cost around $70 if you get the standard version. And then if you want to get the deluxe edition, you gotta pay $90. Which, oh boy, something I'm not that big a fan on. Just the prices of newer games being raised from $60 to $70.
Oh yeah, the costs. We were comparing that to Jedi Survivor, and we were looking at we were trying to compare we were looking at prices. Like, yeah, the current Jedi Survivor one is $70. Outlaws is predicted to be $70, which makes sense. But then we were looking at the deluxe edition, and we realized that like for $20 extra, wait, is it? That's $20 extra. $20 extra, jeez. It's all you're paying for are some skin packs and like some wraps, which is crazy when you think about it. Like in Jedi Survivor, for Cal, if you buy their deluxe edition, you get pretty much these skins that give you, one is a Han Solo sort of like clothing outfit, the other one is a Luke outfit, both of which match what they wear at the end of A New Hope when they receive their medals after blowing up the Death Star. which is cool, but then all you get from there is like an R2D2 cosmetic skin for BD1. They have like a rugged skin. There's like a blaster and a lights like a Luke Skywalker / Anakin Skywalker wrap for the lightsaber hilt. And it's crazy to think that they're charging $20 extra for like these 6 extra cosmetics. Like, it's absolutely unreal.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping.
To be honest,
I'm interested
I don't
to
like
see
it either.
what they can pull off for Outlaws, and I'm hoping it'll be better than 6 cosmetics when you think about it. It's interesting to see, like, a lot of older games, they used to do DLC packs, and I am very interested to see if. I mean, I've been watching videos recently. I've been hearing stuff about like the possible return of that, because you have these deluxe editions, these platinum editions, premium editions that just are not worth it. Like, they've gotten to the point where they add in battle pass tiers, for example, if you get a deluxe edition, because so many games use a battle pass system now. And I'm just hoping that like we start moving towards a point where it's actually worth it to get that deluxe edition. Because like when you get like a DLC pack for, I know I keep going back to it, like an older Call of Duty, or I think Halo even did it. For example, with Halo 3 ODST, that in a sense was a DLC pack, because it included extra multiplayer maps for Halo 3. It was an extra campaign. It included firefight. And so like when you're buying for extra maps and stuff, like that's a ton of time and stuff like that. That's actual stuff that you can play. Firefight extra mode. I mean, that was huge. People still play that today. So
yeah,
I'm hoping the Star Wars games start moving in a better direction on that aspect. It's nothing major, super major, but something that is noticeable.
You and me both, man. You and me both.
Yeah.
Well, and the last thing says that it's just going to be coming in 2024, so next year. So we don't have to wait too long.
Yeah. But then also, I'm hoping it doesn't overwhelm or get overshadowed by Jedi Survivor, because Jedi Survivor just came out. And I mean, it's not like a huge it doesn't have a multiplayer mode, right?
Nope.
Yeah, it's specifically campaign. Ooh, that's another thing to consider. Well, the last time they released a fully multiplayer game, well, actually, that's not. Well, the last time they released a Star Wars game that had a multiplayer was Battlefront 2, right?
I think so.
Because, I mean, yeah, that even had a campaign with it too, which I honestly liked. The Inferno Squad stuff.
Yeah.
So this is Jedi Fallen Order was just a campaign. This is just a campaign. Now that I think about it, Outlaws isn't said to have a multiplayer.
Okay.
Which is, I feel like that's sort of a problem within, I mean, I play a lot of games by myself, but also an experience is like, can be way funner when you have co-op modes or even like actual multiplayer modes. Yeah, actually, even if they just kept it campaign based, if they started doing like some co-op stuff, like being able to play with other people, that's something I feel like has been lacking in a lot of like campaign modes throughout multiple different titles in the video game industry.
Right.
Co-op stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because that also helps in the replayability. Because like, sure, you may have played a title before, but like, let's say you have a friend who hasn't played it, or you and a friend are like, hey, we both want to replay it. You can easily go back and redo it. Sort of like the Master Chief Collection. All those Halo titles you can play co-op. But then starting with like Halo 5, they got rid of co-op. Infinite, no more co-op. Call of Duty, another big title. They have like no co-op campaigns, so you can't play through that story or anything.
Well,
like that.
okay, so for Halo Infinite, they only have it for you can only do co-op online with other friends. You can't do local co-op.
Oh, did they bring it in? I thought they canceled it.
Yeah, there is campaign co-op. You just have to. Everyone has to be on their own separate Xbox to do so.
Oh,
but local co-op
do you know when
kicked.
that came out?
Came out a while ago. I don't exactly know.
Because I had heard that it was getting canceled, even though they already... Well, anyways.
Yeah, local co-op got canceled.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, I think that would be a cool touch, especially for an open world game when there's so much to explore. Like, I think it'd be cool if, like, you go to a planet, like, you could have 2, and if they had more people, 3, 4, I don't know if they would add that, but at least 2, you have one person take care of this, and one person take care of this objective, which would be great for if people wanted to grind through and get stuff done. Especially for an open world game, which would probably take way longer than a normal single player linear path campaign.
It definitely could.
But yeah, news. Good stuff.
Yep. Anyway, on to the very, 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 very long part. Hopefully we're not going to make it too long. We're already almost 25 minutes into this.
Well, yeah. But the main reason we think it's going to be long is just because there's so much to talk about. If we can do it well, we can play through this fairly quickly if we really wanted to. If this could technically take 10 minutes, but I think it's important that we explain our thoughts as we go clearly.
Okay.
Well, yeah. So, folks, we are going to rank some story arcs from the Clone Wars. We have some criteria put in place, so we're going to go from what we think is the worst arcs to the best. Now, what we consider an arc in Star Wars, the Clone Wars show, is specifically from seasons 1 through 7. We aren't including the Bad Batch or anything like that. We're not doing Rebels, just the Clone Wars. And our criteria is it has to be at least 3 episodes and can be 4 episodes, and we even have there's only one of them, but one that's 5 episodes long. But pretty much an arc is 3 episodes or more. We're thinking we'll do a separate episode going over the single episodes and the ones that are 2-parters. But an honorable. You keep going. Sorry.
And just note that we don't have any negative opinions on any of these. It's just how we rank them in terms of like we're ranking them best to worst to best. My bad.
Yeah.
But we don't hate any of these arcs. It's just
it's
depending on how they go, and
I mean, yeah, when you think about
their significance.
Yeah, when you think about an arc, I mean, you could tell that the arcs were the more crucial parts of the TV show. The times when the studios, Lucasfilm, would put more time into effort into developing not just visually appealing, but also story appealing episodes.
Yeah,
and
whether or not
I just said stories
and whether or not we can watch them again.
Yeah, and so all these are very good. And so when we made this list, it took us, over an hour probably to make this list. Definitely.
Oh yeah,
it
definitely took us over an hour
probably
to come up
2
with this
because
list.
we were doing it late last night, and then, jeez.
Yeah, as of recording, we made Yeah,
it was tough to go through. I mean, we really dove deep, but yeah, I mean these are all really thorough. But we were able to pretty much pick it apart bit by bit. And just make a list
and then just come up with a full list. We came up with we came up with 24 different arcs, and we just ranked them as we went, just being like, oh, this is kind of boring. Oh wait, but this has significance to the plot of the Clone Wars, or just something like that.
Yeah.
So
Anyways,
we're gonna try and fit this in within hopefully within an hour, and if we go over, we'll just continue.
Yeah.
We're not trying to rush this.
But anyways,
or anything.
So for actual arcs, we said we consider an arc to be 3 episodes or more. Throughout all 7 seasons of the Clone Wars, they had 24 of those. Some of these will go really quick because they're sort of But we pretty much have the bottom 12 because we're going worst to best. We have what we consider our halfway point, which is, I believe, 7 ones that we thought were pretty good. And then we have our top 5, which we'll get to.
Our top 5, yep.
Starting
off, starting off, we're starting with the Newt Gunray arc. So this is in season 2, and the Republic manages to capture Newt Gunray at some point, but then he
that was the
breaks
whole
out.
Bombad Jedi stuff, right?
Yeah, that was it. It started with the episode Bombad Jedi, where Padme and Jar Jar Binks were negotiating some stuff, trying to negotiate
on the Rhodian planet. Correct? I'm forgetting the name of it.
I'm pretty sure. And then it turns out it was a trap of some kind.
Yeah.
But then Jar Jar thwarted their plan.
Yeah, that was just a
got captured.
A goofy Jar Jar episode.
It was a goofy
terrible,
Jar Jar episode. Didn't hate it.
Yeah.
But it was like, eh.
And then that led into the next episode, which was called Cloak of Darkness, which was pretty much Asajj Ventress was sent to rescue Newt Gunray.
Yeah.
And that was...
we don't really... And unfortunately, we don't really have anything else to discuss. It was just Newt Gunray gets captured, he gets set free, and
out of this 3-episode arc, probably the last one, the Lair of Grievous it was called, was probably the most significant, which is when, after Newt Gunray is rescued by Asajj Ventress, Kit Fisto was assigned to track him down, and they get tipped off to, I'm forgetting the name of the planet, but pretty much they end up at what they find out to be Grievous's lair, and it's a trap. And it's a pretty interesting episode, but again, this whole arc, the reason why I put it on the bottom is it was pretty disjointed and it was nothing crazy.
It wasn't wasn't anything too significant.
Yeah.
Or anything. Moving on. There's going to be quite a few of these
that are just we just want to go through them and say bye-bye to them.
Just summarizing some of the arcs. Anyway, moving on, the 11th worst arc was the Holocron arc with Cad Bane.
Now, that was season 2, I believe, right?
that was in season 2. That's what you listed.
Kickoff for that season 2. It was a 3-episode arc. That was pretty much just he goes to Jedi Temple, Cad Bane, steals the crystal.
As well as some other... Yeah, alongside some other bounty hunters, they steal a holocron, and then there's this whole thing of like
he's working for the Separatists.
Yeah, wait. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and they need the holocrons so they can find Force-sensitive children. Am I?
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah, and so then
they actually end up on Malastare at one point, right? The lava
Malastare,
planet, right?
No, that's Mustafar.
Mustafar. Oh wait, what? What is Malastare?
It's Mustafar.
Oh, Malastare is... Never mind, that's a completely different planet. they will start with it now. My bad. Yeah,
yes.
Mustafar, which was sort of like... I mean, that was a fun little... Going back to like, hey, this place existed for a while before we find out about it in Revenge of the Sith. But...
Yeah.
Nothing really exciting for this arc.
Nothing really too crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and...
Let's see.
Yeah.
Third worst.
The
Martez sisters arc in season 7.
Oh boy, this was one that people. Arc. This was one that a lot of people could agree with us. Like, oh God, no, this was not that good.
Yeah, I mean, I personally was a little split on this. I think people recall I've mentioned my thoughts when we did our season 7 review.
Yeah, last episode.
Ago. I mean, the Martez sisters arc was 4 episodes, it was significant in the fact that it was bringing back the Ahsoka character, and this was
brought back Ahsoka,
of course, in season 7, we hadn't had a Clone Wars season for 6 years, 7 years, and it was a way to kick off the finale. So this was definitely a very important arc. But it wasn't the most exciting. I mean, really, you could say that she crashes into this platform, meets these sisters, they get involved in crime and drug smuggling. Don't do drugs, kids. And then and then they run into Mandalorians at the end, which is all to funnel into the actually good arc, which happens after that.
At the very in the next several episodes of the season. But yeah, really nothing else besides that.
I mean, there's a lot of character building and just sort of refreshing us on who Ahsoka's character was. But it's not something that you go back and rewatch, really.
Nope.
No, yeah.
Not at all.
Not at all.
All right. So then the fourth worst arc that we have was with Rush Clovis, which was in season 6. Had 3 episodes. Now, for those who don't remember any of this was the arc that introduces Rush Clovis.
Well, I'm gonna stop you there real quick. He actually wasn't introduced here. He was introduced in earlier episodes in the Geonosis arc. But to be fair, nobody ever remembers him in that episode in like season 2 or whatever. It was one episode.
No, of course. Well, anyway, but I don't remember that. But anyway,
yeah, it's as you described it,
ends up being like
this was pretty much just like a romantic arc.
Like it was a romantic tension between, because it appeared that Rush Clovis had romantic feelings for Padme, even though Padme was already married to Anakin Skywalker. And so it just became this whole thing.
Also, they explained at one point that they sort of liked each other because they had worked together, like before. Oh shoot! I don't know if like they mentioned that he was on Naboo or. Point being, yeah, they had already known each other.
They had history
before
with
Anakin
each other.
and Padme were a thing, pretty much.
Yeah, but things got really weird.
And it was just just the banking clan episode where it's talking about economics, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there was this, and then it turns out Anakin was in the middle of caught Rush and Padme in the act, mostly Rush.
Yeah.
Attempting to kiss Padme, and then it just becomes this whole big fight between them.
Yeah.
Like, it was a really intense
fight. A lot of this, was about
fight.
Anakin trying to control his feelings, and just, it was sort of like showing Anakin's, I'm going to call it short fuse, just like, it's hard for him to control himself. And then also, that the economics part, talking about how did Palpatine, aka Sidious, take control of the banks, because in the end, Rush Clovis uses a scapegoat to take over the banks, and that's pretty much it, yeah. I will note for everyone, as a memorial to it, Commander Thorne, his death is probably the most significant part of this arc that is like really popular, even though it's a guy dying for the Republic using the Gatling gun. But that's sort of, other than that, it's very stale, I'll put it that way.
Right. Yeah. All right. I guess we're moving on now to the next one. All right. So the fourth worst was the introduction of Death Watch.
Or fifth.
Or fifth?
Yeah,
oh, yeah, that's right.
Five. We're doing
fifth.
good. We're moving through.
We're moving through really quickly. We're kicking butt and taking names.
This was season 3, and it was...
No, this was season 2, actually.
Season 2. My bad.
Yeah, that's what you listed.
Oh, yep. Let me read my own notes. It was 3 episodes, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. This one might cause some controversy, but
like, people are probably going to go to the comments of this video or people are just going to be like, what? When they're listening to this on Spotify.
I mean, out of all of these, my favorite, so it had 3 episodes: The Mandalore Plot, The Voyage of Temptation, The Duchess of Mandalore. My favorite was probably The Voyage of Temptation. That, in my opinion, could be a standalone. That's when they're taking the transport, like the big sort of royal ship from Mandalore to Coruscant. That's when, like, there's the assassin droids stuff.
Right.
I mean, that in my opinion, was very good. But The Duchess of Mandalore, which is, like, Satine getting framed on Coruscant. And then you got the first episode, the opener, which, yes, showed the Darksaber, which is super cool. Introduced Pre Vizsla. Yeah. And I believe this is when they're showing the fact that, like, Death Watch was trying to work with the Separatists and Count Dooku.
Yeah, and
And like as
like
cool as this
Mandalorian, so.
was, I think part of our part of my thoughts on this, and I think this might be the same for you, was the fact that we have other Mandalore arcs that we were rating too, and like in comparison to those, like this one wasn't as crazy, especially when you think about it. Like it jumps around so much between the different episodes. That was sort of our decision making for like our worst one, the new Gunray one. Is just the fact that it jumps around so much that it's sort of hard to say like it's tied together into a solid arc. I don't think there's really much more we can say about that.
Nope. Don't really have anything else to say about that either.
Yeah.
All right, so then on to the sixth worst is the Malevolence arc, which was that big giant scary ship that General Grievous was in control of, and for those who don't remember, it had an ion cannon that could knock out Republic ships, and then the Separatists could just destroy them without any trouble.
Yeah, pretty much just like electrocuting their ships and taking out their power.
Just releasing a giant
which means no shields,
EMP blast onto them. Yeah, leaving them vulnerable and all that.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and then it was just the whole thing of like, I think it was the first episode where Plo Koon and his troops were stuck.
This one was definitely cool. I mean, this was in season 1. It was the second, third, and fourth episode, so this was right at the beginning. And we got to see the Wolf Pack, which is by far probably one of the most popular, more iconic like clone troopers that people know of.
Oh, yeah.
And it had some very cool parts, especially like with Plo Koon in the first episode. I believe the second episode was them racing to protect a medical station that the Malevolence was going
for,
which was cool.
And
then the last episode was them going on to the Malevolence. Of course, conveniently, Padme on her ship comes into the system and gets captured.
Yeah.
Just randomly is sent in. I think they talked about like Palpatine sending them in, but like he plays it off as if he didn't know. I think that's part of my decision on my thoughts on putting this lower is like there's some bits that are like just sort of like okay.
because Palpatine knew what he was doing and he pretended as if nothing.
Anakin hardwires the ship and sends it into a moon. Kaboom.
Kablamo! It's dead.
I just remember the scene.
Grievous got away again.
I remember this scene with like the droids panicking, and then it just hyperspaces into the moon. It's like, oh my goodness. It's like, well, okay, there goes that ship. All of that.
Yep, no longer a threat anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So next up on our list, the D Squad arc.
D Squad.
As according to George Lucas, is actually his favorite.
Yeah, this was a
of all the arcs
arc
that they made
in season 5.
Follows R2-D2, multiple astromech droids like him, as well as Colonel Gascon.
Oh, and then also, I don't know if his name is Clank or the pit droid guy.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember either. It's been a while since I last saw that arc.
That is Corporal Whack to you, soldier.
Doesn't he get promoted to, like, Corporal? And he, like, goes crazy?
I don't recall.
Yeah, well, anyways, yeah. Like you said, it was pretty much this big story about how these droids are tasked to infiltrate because they're droids and they separatists are droids. So they're using droids against droids pretty much to infiltrate and steal some secret separatist
scenario
codes. But of course, something goes wrong in their mission and they crash on a desolate planet and they have to get off.
But they end up meeting Gregor, a clone commando.
Who becomes very iconic in the whole series and Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But pretty much, he's a guy who crashed on this planet after... They mentioned the Battle of Sarish, which is something that the show never covered, but it was pretty much this very iconic, very deadly, I don't know if they were trying to do like a World War II equivalent battle, but like the number of casualties that they talk about, like the tens of thousands, pretty much this massive, terrible battle in the Clone Wars that was covered in older comics. And he was supposed to be a survivor who escaped, but crashes on this planet and has amnesia and just can't remember. But we soon discover that he's a commando, which is the first time we ever see commando armor in any TV show or like visual media, which was really cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's just short-lived with his sacrifice.
Yeah.
But of course, we learn that he comes back later, though somehow. He's in the Bad Batch. But
yep,
I guess our idea behind this was like there are some really neat moments, like when they're in the last episode, they're preventing this pretty much suicide bomber ship from going into a Republic space station meeting, which is cool. The episode before that was Gregor's sacrifice. But other than that, it was nothing crazy.
Yeah, and then there was also, like, they ended up going onto a Republic ship. Turns out it was overrun by Separatist droids that was carrying a large amount of Rhydonium on it, so they would destroy a space station.
Yeah. Rhydonium is pretty much like a really explosive fuel in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, and if you ever saw that one scene in there where R2-D2 detonates the bomb earlier than what the Separatists wanted, then you would see that it's like a really explosive.
Yeah.
And could
I think part of what helps with our decision of putting this a little higher, even though this is a little higher on the list, it's just the visual fidelity and quality of the explosions. I mean, this was season 5, so they had progressed a lot in their technology and their abilities to pump out some really cool episodes. But I don't know, it looked very cool. But yeah, I think that's all we can really say for that.
Yeah. All right. On the next arc, there was Windu versus Boba Fett.
Yep.
Can't forget Boba Fett. We're not talking about the Boba Tea. We're talking about Boba Fett, the character. Just so we don't cause any confusion.
Yeah, let's see. This was just about the end of season 2. It was a 3-episode arc, and I believe this was the first time we had ever seen Boba Fett. Again, this is younger Boba Fett.
Like, since the events of Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, so this was a very neat follow-up. However, it wasn't... It was, in comparison to the other arcs, it wasn't the most significant thing. Which is why we put it on the lower end.
Yeah, and it was like Boba Fett just had this personal vendetta against Mace Windu, because, as we all know, Mace Windu was the one who cut Jango Fett's head off.
Yeah. I mean, it sort of fuels the fire for establishing Mace Windu as, like... I mean, he's a good Jedi, but he definitely is very stoic and tough with his actions. Like, he isn't... He's a strong Jedi, he's wise, but he's definitely very quick to make his decisions, and as we know, he eventually pays for it with like his when he faces Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. But and then you also got Boba Fett, who we see, forgetting her name, the bounty hunters who are helping her. One of them is, she has like an antenna sticking out of her head.
Yeah, Aura Singh.
She's sort of helping fuel his want for revenge. So we see his bad side, but at the end we also see his good side, which is sort of like justifiably he wants to go over Mace Windu because Mace Windu just killed Jango Fett.
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, he didn't necessarily have to do that. He could have disarmed him, but yeah. So it's a bit of a back and forth episode. That was good character building. But wasn't important for the overall storyline. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, aside from that, on to our next one. We got the Mon Cala arc, which was in season 4. It was 3 episodes long, and it was when the Republic went to the planet of Mon Cala, where Admiral Akbar hailed from. And they were trying to help the prince and those who were against the Separatists retake their homeland, their home planet.
Yeah. I mean,
And
yeah.
yeah, it was good. It was a good arc.
No,
We're
starting to hit a point in the list where like, yeah, this is pretty fun. It was pretty much the story was you have a civil war between the Mancala and the species called the Quarren. It is an underwater planet.
Remind me, they're like the
like
shark
the squid
people, right?
No, the Quarren are like the squid.
Oh, that's
people.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
And they have one shark person.
Yeah,
I forget the name of their species helping.
Yeah, well, though he doesn't actually live on the planet. He was sent by the Separatists.
Yeah, exactly.
From what we assume another aquatic planet. But it's pretty much a civil war, and of course the Separatists take advantage of this sense the bad guy side, which is the Quarren, who in the end aren't really bad guys; they're just being used. And then the Separatists use this as a way to try to attack the planet. So the Republic steps in for the Mancala. We get to see underwater clone troopers. They eventually send in Gungans at one point as their sort of rescue troops.
Yay!
But yeah, a lot of it is just building up for the main character, which is the Prince, who is a Mon Calamari, and he's pretty much... We get to see his arc of starting as a prince and just trying to reunite the people, and it ends up with the Quarren coming back to the Mancala, and they're all fighting against the Separatists.
It was a fun arc to just see more world building as well as just get more character development for these characters that will most likely not return in future episodes.
I mean,
so they do what they can with it.
Nothing super critical to the overall storyline, but a fun
But just
arc.
It's a fun arc. It's a fun and interesting arc.
Yeah.
All right. Here's to one of my favorites in the bottom list, the Youngling / Hondo arc from season 5. So this was one that dealt with Ahsoka taking some younglings to do more of their Jedi training. So, like the earliest of their Jedi training as young children, that being acquiring the kyber crystals for their lightsabers.
Do you remember the name of the planet? I keep forgetting, but all I remember is that it's the same planet that the Starkiller base was made on that we see in Star Wars The Force Awakens. I'm forgetting the name. But yeah, we get to see Ahsoka, like you said, lead the younglings. We also get a little bit of Yoda, who they meet at the temple.
Oh, yeah. And just getting the... just understand a little more about what it means to be a Jedi, and by doing so, they end up getting their kyber crystals.
Well, yeah, a lot of it was also sort of just explaining each character and their traits. Like, they were talking about Gunji, who's the Wookiee, who we actually see in the Bad Batch. He was, like him learning patience.
Correct.
The one guy, I'm forgetting his name, but, like, the main guy, he was, like, learning, like, determination, or, like, going against, I think determination. The one that was the same species as, what was your name? Not Alea Secura.
Oh, come on. I'm also trying to think of it. What was it?
Yeah, well, anyways, the one girl, like, trying to learn to not let herself deal with fear. The one guy, I'm forgetting, is the Rodian. He's dealing with, she was, like, trying not to rely, what was it? Oh, I think hers actually dealt more with fear. Oh, of like, being alone, I think.
Yeah, and then the one guy who was the same species as Kit Fisto was also, like, I think it was not relying on technology so much.
Yeah. And then the last guy, I forgot the species he is, but it pretty much, like, not being scared of, like, the dark almost, in a sense. Do you remember that guy? Yeah.
Was he called Biff?
Biff, yes.
Oh, that's funny. I not in the sense of, like, who would name their child Biff, but more like, oh wow, that's his name. I didn't realize that. I forgot about that.
His species is Ithorian or Ithorian.
Okay.
That's the name of the species. But yeah, Biff.
All right.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, and then we also meet the droid who helps with the construction of their lightsaber.
Yeah, he's sort of like the teacher. And you had mentioned this. We actually just saw him recently in the Ahsoka trailer. He's sort of like the guy with the monocle.
Yeah, and he looks... Yeah, I'll provide an image for all of you who don't know. But yeah, he also is voiced by David Tennant, which I didn't realize until I watched the Ahsoka trailer. And I'm like, wait, that's David Tennant. I know that voice anywhere.
Yeah. So anyways, pretty much from here, well, after they get their kyber crystals and they're leaving the planet, they get ambushed by none other than Hondo and the pirates, who his famous line, "I smell profit," anyways, and all these funny quotes that Hondo the pirate is. Yeah, Ahsoka gets captured in the whole mix,
and
as
so
they try to defend
the younglings,
themselves. So the younglings go off to Florum, which is where the pirates are.
Yeah, and to save Ahsoka.
And the next thing we know, the Separatists invade the planet because there's some beef between Hondo and Count Dooku.
If y'all remember, there was that whole arc with Count Dooku getting captured by them, and then, yeah.
It was a 2-episode arc, so that's why we didn't put it on this list. It was a 2-parter.
Yeah, and then, Dooku had General Grievous take control of the whole thing, and so there was this whole truce between the younglings and Hondo.
And his pirates, and just trying to escape off the planet.
Well, and also get rid of get Grievous off the planet.
Yeah.
As well. Which, oh my gosh, that fight between Ahsoka and Grievous was pretty good.
That was. And then we get to see Hondo's sort of collection of ships, and he has the Slave One, which is Boba Fett / Jango Fett's ship, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Or as Disney calls it these days, Boba Fett's Starship, which... I get the name change, but at the same time, it's like, they should have just kept it.
I don't know why they can't call it Slave One. Like, I don't get...
Maybe because of...
I guess the word slave. But, like, I thought they just chose it as a cool name. Like, I don't see how it actually means anything to do with slave.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with slaves. Like, what?
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah, it was a good arc overall. We met some younglings, saw the process of what it takes to become a Jedi in that part of a person's life.
We got some cool battle scenes. Oh yeah, something we didn't mention was when they first get attacked by the pirates, they send out a distress call, which Obi-Wan Kenobi gets and Commander Cody, but they show that before General Grievous invades Florum, he actually attacks Obi-Wan's ship, and there's this cool battle scene, but Obi-Wan eventually has to get into escape pods with his remaining troops and flee the battle. So that's why the younglings and Ahsoka didn't get any help in the first place.
Correct. All right. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, sorry. I just realized. And then at the very end, when Hondo, he does the right thing, he helps the younglings, and he returns Ahsoka and the younglings to Obi-Wan, who now has a new ship. And he's been rescued. Pretty much like Hondo's going through the list. He's like, oh yes, my fuel, that costs a lot. Oh, my men, my food. Oh, look at my ship, it's damaged. You're going to have to pay for that. He's pretty much just creating this big list of charges and this big bill he's going to send to the Republic.
So he can have more money.
And then Obi-Wan's like, wasn't it you who first attacked the youngest? He's like, no. I will send you my bill. Just walks off. But yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes Hondo such a fun character.
Yeah.
Because he's quirky.
Yes, he's great. Anyways, next one. Hit me. Let's go.
Oh, goodness. So this is another one that I found to be interesting, but this is the Yoda exploration arc from Season 6. This had 3 episodes. And pretty much this was when Yoda got into contact with Qui-Gon Jinn's ghost. And so he went on this exploration of how he could, continue to live on through the Force.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I think it was like that. And at the same time, they were also learning about the secret plot to destroy the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yoda knew about this.
This at the time was, like you said, Season 6. This was the last episodes of Season 6. Which was supposed to be the last episodes of this show's existence. So I think they were trying to cap off with something with Yoda, trying to do some soul searching for him, and just show him trying to realize what he could be if he was a bad guy. and what he
Yeah, it was
could be to continue to be a good guy.
And also learn how to continue living on through the Force even after death.
Yeah. And we got to see some notable characters such as Darth Bane, you said, correct? I
Darth Bane.
Him,
who turns out was voiced by Mark Hamill, so...
Luke Skywalker.
Mark Hamill got...
What?
Whoa!
Yeah. No, that's not
not actually, but it's kind of cool to know that Mark Hamill has voiced both a Jedi character and a Sith, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And, yeah, it just got really crazy, as well as, like...
Yeah, it was almost like a dream-like arc of episodes.
Yeah, what happens at the very end, like, with Order 66 and all that, the fall of the Jedi, we see that.
Yeah.
However, the only thing is that Ahsoka lives.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
They showed everyone, including Ahsoka, dying. And then there was also like a what could have been with just peace in the galaxy, and there was never any war.
Yeah, so we put this on the lower end because it wasn't anything crazy, but then like these points that you're making right now on the higher end of this lower section of the list, because it was a lot of this sort of world building and storytelling of like Yoda's perspective and what he's facing mentally and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's really good. Really good indeed.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Here's our number one, not our number
our
one
12th,
best worst, or like
our 12th worst.
So pretty much like the one that's not the worst, but it's still on the worst. It's
still on the list.
Yeah.
So the Ryloth arc.
This one was a tough one because at this point, this is called our bottom 12. Like we said, we have 24 arcs. This is the last one of our.
This was the least worst.
But this one's still pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, and
3 episodes, season 1. It was fun because it was in 3 stages, which was very well done. You had the first, which was the space battle, which was with Ahsoka and Anakin, and this was significant because it was about Ahsoka becoming a leader.
Yeah, kind of diving into that leadership role a little more.
The second episode was Obi-Wan leading the ground assault, and that develops characters such as Waxer and Boyle, and just trying to sort of look at war, and then like sort of like the perspective of troops on the ground, but also the interactions that they have to deal with. Sort of like, I'm gonna call them those human interactions that we would consider in real life, like dealing with the people who live on this planet and what they're going through.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you have the last episode with Mace Windu, who leads the attack on the Capitol, which is where the Separatists have their sort of their stronghold.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we also see Sham Syndulla, who's sort of the Twi'lek freedom fighter, who has been sort of holding out against the Separatists as they invade the planet.
And is also the father of Hera Syndulla from Rebels,
who we are gonna possibly see in Ahsoka, right?
Oh yeah, we're gonna see her in Ahsoka. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fun fact! I just thought about this because I rewatched part of Rogue One recently. The Ghost, which is the name of their ship, it's in Rogue One. You know about that, right?
Yeah, I know about that, and it's also in the final battle in Rise of Skywalker as well.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, there's just those little bits.
Yeah, and only people who have watched Rebels would catch that.
Which is interesting when you
or
think
are
about
familiar
it.
with
it's like,
it.
Wow, Hera Syndulla was. I wonder if she was. But the thing is, you don't see her ship at the Battle of Scarif in Rogue One, which is interesting. But we saw her ship.
Oh, you do?
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we do see it at the Battle of Scarif. I'll provide an image for anyone watching.
Oh, jeez, you're going to have to show me that after this. I never knew that. I remember seeing the ship on Yavin 4, which is, for those of you who don't remember, that's the name of the planet where the Rebel Alliance has their staging ground. That's like their home base of operations. But I knew about it in the Rise of Skywalker episode 9.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember. I remember seeing just pictures because I actually never noticed it like the first time I watched it. Or maybe I did briefly. I just don't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, before we get off topic any longer, back on to now. Remind me because I remember this like at the very end of the arc when the separatists are losing. Doesn't the tactical droid just abandon ship and leave Wat Tambor to get captured?
The tactical droid. So Wat Tambor, who we know is the trade union. He's sort of, I call him. I forgot who told me, but nicknamed the vacuum bag. He's pretty much just a rolling vacuum bag.
The vacuum bag.
And he's blue, green face. He adjusts his. He's always famous for adjusting his knobs on his chest, which Joyce is like his voice emulator or whatever. But scientist guy who is sort of put in charge of controlling Ryloth, and his tactical droid next to him is giving him advice. And his tactical droid's like, "We're not going to make it. We got to retreat." Just keeps telling him over and over and over. And he gets to the point where it's like 5 minutes till the Republic will take over the capital. The tactical droid's like, "Yep, I'm leaving." He just leaves. And then probably 30
screw this
seconds
crap,
later,
I'm out.
Now Wat Tambor comes out and his ship's gone, and it's like, yeah, that's what you get.
Oh
for
crap!
Late. Because Count Dooku, they showed hologram transmissions between him and Count Dooku talking about how he should have left days before this even happened. And it was just him being greedy because there was treasure on the planet that they were trying to get off the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the halfway point of this list, folks.
Yeah.
This is sort of like the bottom 12, but here comes our top 12 right here.
Hey everyone. So, yeah, this is kind of a weird way to end this episode of the podcast, but unfortunately there was just a whole lot that we talked about. Like, we talked for about, like, literally in 2 hours worth of, like, ranking episode arcs from Clone Wars and all that, and, well, we really couldn't figure any other way to end it. So thank you so much for watching part 1 of this very long episode. If you are new around here or coming on the regular, make sure to hit that big red subscribe button down below. It really helps us out make more episodes. Not only that, but we are also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Woohoo! Now you can listen to our podcast on the go. So anyway, thank you so much for listening or watching, and may the Force be with you. Bye.